morning. Leero sirinze emakunzi jukiza. Mbadde nyina okukikuba naro. I hope you guys are doing well. Kansiba omusipi gwange abantu gwe bangamba city rope. Mweyanga se city belt. Ara TikTok oba manyiira. Is my sound okay? Mbadde saagala bujjako buno because when someone calls me and I'm doing the broadcast, oba wembutadde China mtende. Siriwe Masaka, siriwe wandi wende. Obuntu buno. Is the sound okay? Yeah, but I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are doing well. I definitely know the sound of these things are not so good, but good morning Martha, good morning Blair. Is the sound okay? Am I modernized? Yakuba Chitala Andrekere Abamarayo Chitala Wechigamba Ready I Park. Good morning Patrick Asiku, our council from the east. Good morning Abi, good morning George Senkbuge, good morning Farouk Serubura. Yes. Amin. I hope you guys are. How do I look when I'm in the modern thing and I am so to Wabajika baby? Moses, good morning. Now you know what to have a baby. Ana Nabula Kuboda, I would have them to wave at Ningam Papa Nagaba in Malala. Now, yeah, never tell someone they have Malala before you get to that point, because at a certain point you'll also get the Malala. Amina Council, Edwin Mugerwa, good morning. Yeah, so the more I do research about cars, the more I learn about cars, the more interesting it gets. You know, good morning Joseph from Chiboga. Thank you for watching. Yes. Banange muteke ko location zamwe. It would be a very nice thing for people to know where you're watching from. So the more I do research about cars, the more interesting it gets. Serubura. You know, my big brother is called Serubiri. Yes. My big brother is called Serubiri. Serubura. Yeah, I've mastered it. Thank you. I've mastered it. The other time I was reading the familiar, you know how you read the statement, and then you read what is familiar to you. Which take here. That's my early morning show here in Bahrain. Thank you very much, George. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be part of your morning. Yes. Drone. That's a drone. Apparently, the engine that is in those drones is better than the engine that is in the super customs. It's actually much more powerful than the engine that is in the Chikegeze. I'm going to do a video on that specifically very soon. I've been reading a lot about these things, and the more I read more about them, the more I get interested. And when I was reading about Subaru, I didn't cover everything. Good morning, Mr. Rashid. Good morning, Farmer Salmina. Good morning, Shafiq. Look at moi. Amin, Shafiq. So, of course, when I read, it's true. I cannot read basically everything in the shortest period of time that I get, especially now. And I know I'm going to get more time very soon. Probably after June. After June, I'll have more time to research even more. But the more I research about cars, the more interesting it gets for me. And here, you see, I'm a marketing professional. With cars. Now, I've been reading about Subaru and I've been watching lots of videos about Subaru, and I can tell you that everything that is happening about Subaru was a marketing decision. Even the government of Japan, you know, the company that made Subaru came out of a merger of 5 companies that are initially part of an aero operation. They were making warplanes and all, and then government disbanded the company that was making aeroplanes and then made different companies, and then they told them along the way Subaru was making, I think, buses, and then they made them merge, and then the first thing that Subaru made was a Star, okay, making whatever they were making. There were about 80,000 vehicles, and literally nobody could buy a used car because the very few people that had cars used them, so, and the economy was bad. So Subaru had to make automobiles that were very for people to not only buy but also keep on the roads. You get, and is they made they first made scooters. Okay, and I can't believe that Subaru at a certain point made a car that was less than 1000 cc, which take it. But they have always made their boxer engines, even at 1000 cc. But so along the way they made a 1500 cc engine, and then they slowly, by probably everyone thinks that every Subaru was made for speed, which is not the case. So if you have a Subaru and you're driving it thinking that okay, it's a speed merchant, maybe it's not really the speed merchant you thought it was. So because Subaru not really make all its vehicles for performance. Some of its vehicles are made for comfort. Some of its vehicles are made for efficiency, like the Impreza, it's definitely for efficiency. And some of the vehicles were made as family vehicles. So probably that's one thing you need to differentiate before you buy a Subaru. If you're buying and might be the reason why some Subaru engines blow and why some people find maintaining Subaru expensive, because someone buys an economy Subaru and then they end up driving it as a performance Subaru, which is bad. It's like me driving my Corolla as a performance vehicle. It's definitely an economy vehicle. So if you try to drive it like you're driving the Subaru WRX, then you're going to have trouble with it. Which take it. So I find that cars are really interesting. Subaru even from the get-go when they were forming the company, it was a marketing decision, and that makes me wonder. Some governments, do they really think about the marketing aspect of whatever decisions they make? And then along the way, I know I talk about so many different things because wow, it's interesting. I also researched about the digital number plates. Yeah, because someone, I don't know, was it Mansour Harifa that was asking about the digital number plates that apparently are supposed to start this year. That's a long shot. That's a very long shot. If they're going to start this year, probably someone is eating money. Someone is eating money, and that's why they are going to make sure that that probably some few people get to start using the digital number plates. But that can't be done. Personal opinion, by the way. That's in Uganda, with all the things that have been apparently fronted to be done. It's my personal opinion, and trust me, I'm not an expert at number plates, so I don't want someone to come and crucify me and say, with that digital number plates. Personally, I think the way implementation works in Uganda, I find that deep digital number plates are not going to happen anytime soon. It's going to take some time. Of course, timelines are good. In management meetings, all of you guys that work in places where you have some kind of structure, management works out things and they think they would work. I mean, my own company is small, but there are things that we thought would happen by May, and apparently because of the load of work that we have, we cannot make it happen. You see how we were deciding and because of the load of work that we have. And my company is not really big, it's not, but management wise, there are things can and should be done within a certain time frame. But because of the load of work you have and because of the resources you have, you cannot really achieve it. So I personally think that the digital number plates cannot be achieved in Uganda. One, for starters, it's the cost. The United States is one of those countries that is really advanced, but it hasn't pulled it off totally. So you can't tell me it can be pulled off in Uganda. I'm not saying that we are not capable, but well, we are not that capable. We are capable in other things, but there, implementation of especially things to do with technology. Whatever, we have cameras on all streets, and when a crime happens at a spot that has a camera, they say the camera was off. So I find that digital number plates is a long shot for us as Uganda, as a country. As a country, having a camera at his business premise, and all they need is a 1 terabyte hard drive to run the cameras for a year, and they tell you, man, the cameras are not on. There are guys, you guys that work at places that have cameras in Uganda. When something gets stolen, don't you want to access footage? They cameras at like, really? Like, you can even create a backup power system for a camera, so that when power goes off, you have a backup system that runs immediately for like, the power is off for like 2 minutes, and then 1 minute, and then the backup system goes on. Solar, you can put your cameras on solar system for the cameras. It's only powering like 5 cameras, and then it powers this CPU of whatever they call it for the cameras, and that's not something that needs a lot of power, you get. But then those cameras fail, you get. And a lot of things that we have been trying to implement as a country that have not worked out, yet they are low cost. Do you guys remember the seat belts? The seat belts that happened. I mean, you have seat belts in a Chikeke, and then 4 months later, nobody really cares. You have seat belts in buses, and 3 months later, nobody really cares. You get. So unless someone is actually eating money out of this thing, I personally think it will not be implemented. Of course, the digital number plates are very expensive. NTV made a report about the digital number plates, and they said it will cost about no problem. It will cost about 6 million shillings for each number plate to be implemented. Each car, 6 million shillings. Now, the question lies there is, who is going to cover that money? Me, Arthur, who is driving my car of 6 million. And so I pay an extra 6 million to put a digital number plate on my car. Because I remember when the president was giving a directive for us to get digital number plates, he said that the digital number plates should be installed on our cars at our cost. So I want to get this straight. Someone buys a car at 13 million, and then they have to invest a 6 month to invest digital number plates, to put digital number plates on their car. Does it make sense to you? Morning. Enotanaba. Then ngenda kueleza email yabo no sound when you confirming ngoba bwebo botwina copyright yabo kare. You guys, does that really make sense? I mean, even if it costs less than that. No, but do I have juice? Because you can ask mommy to top up your juice. When she comes, you ask her, okay? So even if it costs less, like let's say it costs $200, like what it costs the people in the US, because $200 is 600,000. You guys, seriously, ebitwalo nkaga. At my cost, does that really make sense? Of course, it will have to be forced on us, like someone. No, to give you some of mine, not to give me yours. So I don't know if it makes sense. Okay, let me see. Let me read some. After the phone holder, does it have any arm for the windscreen? Actually, the wind is coming from here. Oh, my bad. The wind is actually coming from here. Good morning, Nicholas Kaziwe. Adrian, after the phone holder, does it have any arm for the windscreen? Okay, I clear the question is not clear, but I'm thinking if there was wind, it was coming from here. So I might find a solution for that. Don't use them at the same time. Let me ask, if I take this off, is my sound still clear? Just give me that in the comments. Because the reason I have these is so that when someone calls me, it doesn't interrupt our broadcast. But when I take them off, is the sound okay? Okay, so I will just use this when someone calls me, then I pick them up. I'm putting them back in their suitcase. Now why are
Oh
you
my
laughing?
God, it's a suitcase.
It's their suitcase. Okay, so that's mostly the case with in projects. You set up a baseline, but things should change along the way. Their implementation time was set to July, definitely, but July is impossible. Personally, I think they would probably roll out like 1,000 cars and give them digital number plates for free, because you can't tell me to come and be a volunteer for something where I'd have to pay 600,000. Which again, it's but why sometimes Subaru Foresters are cheap? I'm going to answer that shortly. Good morning, JK. Good morning, everyone. Those digital plates won't work same like seatbelts and car. That's definitely what I think. They will not. Yeah, thanks. Things change. I write comment and later realize I have words in there that I didn't intend. It's the autocorrect, I think. Good morning, Arthur and everyone. Good morning, Daniel Ranga. Arthur, before I saw a car number plate stroking with 0 or O, UBA stroke O, UBA and I, and why UBC plate a few. That's something I also have to research about and find out. Good morning, Mark BZ. Okay, Jacob. 750 payment for the car owner. You top up Aban's juice. He has taken some of his juice. Top up with mine. Yes.
No, babe, he has 2 bottles.
No, you top up, no problem. AirPods sometimes can disrupt the audio of the recording. Okay. To me, I think if they say we invest 6 million for digital plate, then at the time of selling my car, it should be I remove that number plate. Then the buyer puts his. Yeah, definitely. But then they will tell you, then you have to pay for the cost to change the car that is in your number plate, which will be a cost that is not fair. Digital number plates should start with government cars. Because governments don't even pay tax. I have also never seen a UBI. UBI doesn't sound right. Probably they also thought about it and they said, doesn't sound right. UBI doesn't sound right, you guys. Doesn't really sound right. So personally, having not seen what digital plates mean in terms of cost and resources for the governments and all, and because even if the government decided that they were not going to invest, they themselves, that we have to invest, it's a long shot, guys. Imposing that they are going to say a car that doesn't have a digital number plate, let it park. But even the US hasn't done that. I don't know, JK, do you guys in Denmark have the digital number plates? I think certain plates are reserved for particular applications. Okay. No, they're called bottles. Yes, bottles. Yes. But I've not seen a UBI anywhere. I've not seen a UBI anywhere. You don't know. Okay. So, but personally, I think this is for my thing at work. It has fallen. We'll get it. Leave it. I realized that digital plates, it's something that may not work in Uganda. Not because it's hard to implement, but it's because of the kind of systems we have in Uganda, and also the natural formation of projects, how projects work and all. It's quite complex. It's not as easy as we think. Like we sit in a management meeting and we say, okay, by December we should have created 100 branches across Uganda. That's probably something that cannot be done. We had a timeline for May. We even had customers enrolling, but personally, we as a team, we cannot do it. So we are going to refund money to customers because we cannot implement what we thought we could implement. In terms of resources, not even money, because the customers are going to pay. But in terms of manpower, we cannot achieve what we set out to achieve. So we may have to postpone whatever we... And my company is really small, but we have a lot of work. That's one reason why my broadcasts sometimes are short. I keep getting interrupted in phone mid broadcast, and then I get phone calls and all that. That's why my I don't know. It's Twina. We have a small team, and we cannot really hiring more people right now. is a cost that cannot be sustained in the long term. So we have to actually cut down on some of the operations. I think that's the same thing that's going to happen to Ministry of Works in their bid to try and implement the digital number plates. At the Ministry of Works still has a lot of work to do. They cannot even implement the change of ownership, change of particulars of vehicles. You wait. Let mommy come. Okay. Okay, guys, give me just 1 minute. Just 1:30. But now, you guys, a person has just passed me as I came back in here. But paso busisi lukwe mgwesonyo. Don't buy 1000cc pasos. Good morning, Arthur. You spoke of culture shifting in one of your videos. What did you mean? Cultures change. That's what I meant. That there is something that we did 10 years ago that we no longer do now. Like 10 years ago, we had beliefs that we don't have anymore. You get 10 years ago, it was, I'll give you an example. The culture, we copy cultures. I happen to have, I know. Anyway, I know. Who sits there? Don't worry, I'm going to work on it. But who sits there?
It's me, but like.
Okay. So cultures shift, and I'll give you an example personally. How there has been a change in what I believe, and you know what we believe influences what we do. We have in Africa, we grow up and they're telling us you should have a lot of kids, right? You should have a lot of kids because of the reasons they give you. Some of the reasons I've had people give others to have for having why they should have a lot of kids have been have a lot of kids because then you can secure your future, because you can have a lot of people looking after you. Another reason has been that then bozala abana batano nga basatu basiro sikaza wabiri. There's so many reasons that people have been given for having kids. I personally started working with a Norwegian boss at 17, and this guy had one child, okay? And looking at the quality of life I grew up in, of course I was an orphan, but I believe that I could have had a worse life if my dad was still there. Why? Because I had a lot of kids in the 90s when he died, because he died in around 1992, and I was 2 years then, okay? But by the time he died, I believe he had about 9 kids, okay? If he had lived on, he would have had more, and not all of us would have gone to school. That's a guarantee, because I've seen most of the guys that I went to school with, most of them stopped either P7 or senior 4, and it wasn't because their parents were not there, it was because their parents had a lot of load, and so some of them did not even go abato kutuka senior 6 or never genda kucheyo nga sente zibuze ngomwana yali akadde okweyongera naye nga muzeyi sente takola ki nga muzeyi sente tazirina and ate muzeyi sente okubanga tazirina tekiteza nti takola akola naye nga abaana alina batya alina bangi. So I'm trying to explain the culture shift that has been asked from me. So and then I saw myself and how my grandmother was maneuvering life, because she had about 6 kids. Okay, now they're all grown, but they did not all go through to university. University, they stopped at diploma level and all that, but it was all because of money. And personally, when I went and started working with this both of mine, because I've been with him and I've seen how he lives his life and the decisions he has been making. He had one child, and that one child, when the girl wanted to do medicine, which was her first degree, she did medicine. Okay, when the girl wanted to do fashion and design, which was her second degree, he paid for her to do fashion and design. And then she did not want to do fashion and design anymore. Then she went for a degree in culinary. So she's a chef now, and he was able to also pay for that. Why? Because it's one child. So you can actually afford to give this child the quality of life that you think your child deserves. I don't know if I make sense. And I saw, apart from that, I worked with a Belgian director, and he also had one child. Now, this Belgian director actually had this child later on in life. I think when he was around 50 years. When he was around 50 years, that's when he had his first. I think he had the child when he was around 40, Kali, because when I saw the child was around 10, this guy was around 50 something. And he could give this child because artists, this director, the Belgian director, when he was in my age, 20s, 30s, he was kind of broke. And he had to work his way, and then he started getting fame when he was in his late 30s and 40s. He got a lot of money. Then he could actually have, and even the mom of the kid was a very popular Japanese dancer. So and they could manage to give this child the quality life they had. So where does the culture shift come in? That I've seen the kind of things that we believe in. Thank you very much. The kind of things that we believe in Africa, and where they are leading us. Okay. And I also studied why Africans a long time ago were making the decisions they used to make, and then I realized that we can't make the same decisions now. So my shift in thinking has influenced the way I do things. It's going to influence the way the people around me do things. Trust me, it's definitely going to influence the way my kids do things. So that's the culture shift. Culture changes. So seeing all those things, I decided I wasn't going to have any more than 2 kids, and I'm glad for the decision I made. I'm very glad. You can give your kids the quality of life they want. Culture, sometimes the culture shifts are good, sometimes they are bad. Personally, I believe that mine is good. So you can manage to give your kids the kind of life they want. You can take them to the schools that are really good because you don't have a very huge number. You can also give yourself the kind of life you want, because you can eat the food you want, you can buy the cars you want, you can build the houses you want, because you don't have that kind of pressure of abana batano bonna balina okugenda ku somero lya mitwalo kinana, and that's like a decent medium school. So I think the culture shift in nnyonnyodde ani akibuuzizza. I'm going to find the person that asked. Let me get to the jam there. Yeah. So changing. Men that came before us had to build the houses and rentals before they bought cars. Today, a young man will buy a car, a 40 million car at Achapanks and Gaina Munyumba Yamitwala Abidi. The Inga Moroka million Yameka. It was Moses that asked me about the culture shift. Now that's one angle of culture shift, Moses. There are so many angles. The angles of how people go to school, the angles of how people do their work, the angles of how people treat others. Culture shifts in so many ways, and I think so many of those things are actually good. Those 2 letters, I and O, are not used because reflex as digital digits 1 and 0. It may bring confusion. Thank you very much, Abby. Thank you very much for that. Digital plates rely on an ecosystem of technology that is not fully ready in our environment. Secondly, digital number plates ideas seek to solve problems that are not a problem in Uganda. I think we actually have that problem, especially the problem of tracking wrongdoers. Like if my car gets stolen and the police can actually track it very fast in a very fast time, because that's one of the advantages I realize that the digital number plates give us. The government can actually track Maka in real time. It would be a very good thing. In terms of vehicles, what is now left with URA, and what went, everything with vehicles went to the Ministry of Works. But they are in the same building though. Good morning, Arthur and family. Highlight to me the meaning of digital number plates. It's like a tracker. They install a device in your car. That's what it means. You don't have these metal plates, the one you see in front of us. They strip that and they just put a device in your car. So that's why they call it digital. What I know with digital number is you can own it and even change and put it on a different car as long as you register it again with your new car. That would be a very good thing. But the cost is still outrageous. The cost is still outrageous. Then Macas cameras on all roads that recognize number plates. I guess that's what digital number plates means. I personally think the digital number plate is supposed to be like a tracking device. That's what I've seen. It's a device that is installed in your car. Otherwise, if it's installed like a number plate, if it's installed like a normal number plate, then they are useless. Because still a thief can take off that number plate and throw it away and drive the car away and put another number plate on that car. So in a way, it would be useless if it's installed like the normal number plates. All the number plates are in the database with particulars, the car owners. The same thing happens with these number plates, JK. All these number plates have owner numbers. So they can spot the number plates with the camera and still say this car belongs to such and such a person. Now, the first thing they need to do is they need to implement the transfer system. Like if Arthur sells a car, the person that buys it must transfer the car before they go. Because like I've sold like four cars and they're still in my names. People don't transfer as long as they can buy third party. You get it? So maybe they should create a system where if I sell a car, I blacklist it so that that person that has bought it doesn't use it until they have transferred it. Maybe they should do that. My dad had 17 of us and my woman's dad had 37 kids. Arthur, last time the issue of child car seats, it's a big safety issue. Children using seat belts, not any child seats. There is a high risk of strangulation during accidents due to their height. Okay, Daniel Ranga, I'm going to ask you a very, very simple question. How many people do you see that have kids using seatbelts in Uganda? Let's even go to ministers' kids, those guys that, let's say they have a budget. How many people actually have it? All the cars I've seen in Kampala, the kids are standing in the rear. They are not seated, they are not using any kind of seatbelts. I personally think that we have survived this long without those child seats or the seatbelts for the kids. Just be careful when you're driving. And you see these kids don't have seatbelts, but all the accidents that I've seen where kids are involved, the kids survive. The people that had seatbelts on die. And the kids come out intact. You get. So, and my kids are growing. I'm going to get seatbelts. Yes, manual child seats. I'm going to drive careful when I have my kids in my car. That's the only thing I'm going to do. A good morning, bro. About questions that we can even ask about comparison, please advise me on a Noah and Alphard as a first-time car, which is good recommended option. Go for the Noah. Fuel consumption is not as high as the Alphard. But if you have some common name, go for the Alphard. Maintenance of the Alphard will definitely be more expensive than the Noah. The fuel consumption will definitely be more than the Noah, but the comfort will be worth it. Good morning, everyone here. Good morning, Paul. Edwin, Arthur Hilux, Surf and double cabin, are they the same car? They are literally the same car. However, the Surf has more comfort than the double cabin. They are all Hiluxes, but they have a difference. That some Hiluxes have springs, and then some Surfs have springs. Double cabins, the Hilux double cabins, they have leaves in the rear. Springs, coil springs. Airbags kill kids. That's why kids should not sit in front. Also, it's impossible to keep holding a kid in case of an accident. They will become a moving object in and out of the car. Then don't drive fast. You should see me how I drive when I have my kids in here. Because I'm cautious. I'm very cautious, very, very cautious. I totally know all those safety things, and I know my kid is going to be a flying object. I refer to my kid as a flying object. My kid will not fly out of the car. So my kids are supposed to, that's why they sit with their mother in the rear. Morning, Brian. Brian, do you have child seats in your car? I shared with you a video link of what digital maplets and input. Kale baba katuduko wa traffic mumulaba. Yana yabana baboda. Balinga bakoza appointment nange. Taxes for vehicles, motor dealers association, public sector. I'm going to check it out. But now, I think that's why I've not really watched it. Good morning, Agaba. Good morning, Bashir Mukala. It's a long time. Brian tread carefully. In the US, Canada, quite a number of European countries, it is against the law to transport a child in a car with a child car seat. That's based on research about child safety. Also in Europe, they don't allow cars that are 10 years older on the road or older, but they do inspections all the time. Here in Uganda, we brought an inspection plant that never really worked. But I also find that in those countries, the government also try as much as possible to make some of those safety things affordable. A child seat, because in a country that is as fertile as Uganda, the child seat should be very, very, very affordable. But in a country where even the drivers are forced to put seatbelts on, some people get surprised that I put seatbelts on. In a country where the Harry has just gone by, the woman is not putting on a seatbelt. I've counted 5 cars. 5 cars, and 4 out of them, the drivers don't have seatbelts. Neyo double cabinet iseka driver time. Oyo mwana child car seat eriwa. Uyo atoyo oyo si wafi wawano. Abo wali basubide nti amateeka agali ewaabwe bagaleeta ne wano. Omulaba. Hey. Daniel. Let's just be Ugandan. Atenze nabanga ati sitebafulumya mitwe. Abange eba babeera batudde munda. Baba agala okunyumya anyumya mama we na taata. Neyo mwana uli anyumya ne kubo. Kati oyo wa boda bana abayita makata inzo mukuba ekikwe. Let's just be Ugandan. Research zaba abantu zikira zibeereyo. Fe wano mukama atukuuma. Kati nze nyina abaana babiri nga nkwata emitwalo 8 nga ngiteeka mu ekintu. Nti batulemu nga babebi. Mama waabwe abakwate. Yakwatako omu. Ne mama waakwateko omu. Why? We see what they do and we copy. So anyway, we are 40 people. Let's like the broadcast. I tell we are 54 now. You guys go like the broadcast. Click the like. First close the comment section and click the thumbs up button. First close the comment section and click the thumbs up button. Then you can come back to the comments later after you have liked the broadcast. Thank you very much. Arthur, comment about parents who teach their children only English. Munange, personally, abana abanyi mu Uganda. But the question of my kids knowing only English is a question of culture. My wife is from the West. Me, I'm a Musajja Muganda. Okay? And I'll give you my reason why. My doors have been opened more by English than by Luganda. My doors ebintu ebinkoledde kasente konna kenyina buli kyenyina kikoze mu luzungu. So I find it very important that my child learns English first. Oluganda jaddu yiga oba ayagala oba tayagala. It's a fact, you guys, all of us we know that in Uganda, whether you like it or not, you have to learn Luganda. And actually my kid at their school, they learn Luganda. It's part of the curriculum there. They have to learn Luganda. So Luganda jakulu yiga oba ayagala oba tayagala. But because the father, his doors have been opened by English. The first money I made out of English. All the money I've made, it has been English. It's only of reason that I actually have to write content in Luganda. It's only of reason that I have to do work in Uganda. But also, I don't find it troublesome because, well, I know Uganda, and my kids, by the time they're my age, they will know Uganda. But parents have different reasons for teaching their kids only English. When I met my wife, yalita manyi Uganda. Yalita manyi naye bwe namukwana nti nentandika omuyigiriza Oluganda na kati alufuwe aluwandiika, and it took like a year for her to start speaking Uganda fluently. So I don't think it's really a problem for anyone. We can learn the local languages anytime to come, but English is very important for us as Ugandans. I think the times I've worked in Europe, I worked with Europeans and they said, are you guys speaking only English in your country? Because your English is too good. And I find that life has been easier for me because I know very good English. So I know that life will be easier for my kids because they know English. Luganda is a very good thing. It's a very good thing, good language, and other local languages. It's good for your kids to know them because that's their culture, that's their identity. And my son, what the ayogera luzungu, tosobola muge Luganda. He understands the Luganda words properly. Abitegeera tosobola kumugeera oba oyogera bwoti ngagamba, Daddy, why are you saying this? Daddy, why are you saying this? So I have my reasons for my kids to learn English, but with the digital plates coming into play, would it be economical via installing cat tracker? If the digital plates, I'm going to of course watch a base video, but if digital plates are what JK describes, then it might not be economical. Because even in the US, those states that have digital plates, even cars still get stolen. So Kakati, I don't think it will be very economical. It's the digital tracker named your number plate. Exactly, that's what I thought. If it's that, then it's very good. All cars here have physical plates on them. Then if Denmark still has physical plates, Kakati for Uganda, yeah, yeah, you people. Yeah, we have hospitals that don't have hospitals. We can't pay our doctors. And I think of installing digital can't even a cave. Guys, can we have some more likes? Thank you for reminding them. JK, check out the big number plates that were used before, those letters, and digital reflected the same way they were transferred to number plates. Abroad, when civilization starts, I saw parents driving while kids, their heads are popping out of the sun. And yet we are not as civilized as they were then. We still have roads that have mud on them. Maram roads, we got quite a school ya maram tusanyuka bali baite baina na maram say them. So katebya seats let's just drive carefully. Omuntu aguze motoka yeesooka n'amafuta gamutawaanya omugamba gula child seat ng'ateekamu ebiri buli lunaku lwezimubuze n'alinnya booda. Ekya child seats tukireke. Good morning Vianney. Vianney wa Subaru. Educate us more about Subaru. Kubanze ebintu nsoma bisome. Ndi ku badde yawe ebukota awo mpitawo buli lunaku. I just put them on seat belts, however short they are. Ante esobola omutuga kati amulese n'alimirira ebibyasinga. Let them be free. There's going to come to a time when cannot be as free as they be now. I have child seats in both cars. The boy was born in the US and we couldn't get discharged without a car seat belt. Yeah. So your mother Simon na Uganda. That child is not Ugandan. So, but here we Ugandans, things. But where is your first aid kit in your car, guys? Me, I have a fire extinguisher. I have the triangles. First aid kit and it's very cheap. It can be like 25. When I find it, I'll definitely buy it. All the cars are on the road here for as long as they pass the mandatory 2-year inspection. But here we don't even have inspection. What we Morokambutu first time the inspection? Chigege. Oh, these taxis. Mama nyabo. There are so many of them that would never pass. Mr. Arthur, how is the interior of a Mark II Grand compared to the Alteza? Alteza Biwero Nawe. Mark II Grand is very comfortable. Even the interior looks very... The Alteza looks like a patched up car. Like, let's make a car for the young ones. And they go. Yeah. In some countries, when they find you driving kids in the car without them, they arrest you. Hey, Uganda, that's why you probably... They let us do whatever we want. They don't look why they are not concerned. It's their kids. That's them. It's their kids. I think they be there late. After wabana be mumuleke babatagala gula child seats yamanyi mumuleke mumuleke ateka tumuleke start work tumuleke munyiza tomusajja omukako gula ebisiti bya mitwalo kinana anatuma mumuleke. I think that's how we be in their meeting and they decide to let us be. Digital plates work together with cameras on the road, which I think it won't work because police cameras alone fail to work. Exactly. We have a lot of bottlenecks, which President Museveni is a bottlenecks. Uganda, you are not like Katolubama who asks Oluzungu ndufunyemu chinzo Oluzungu ndufunyemu jeke toina na chongamba. English, for me English is like nze Oluzungu ndufunyemu nyo. Ate, you guys, if you notice, n'abaana abatufuganga ababeranga ba head boy ba HP simanya ba prefect bachi, they were the kids that spoke the best English. No musomesa nyini nga bwaba abba akalulu abira omwana amanyi mu kuluzungu okusinga kubalala. Kagamba omwana oyo bwanajjanga ku assembly waniriza bagenyi, omwana tajja kubaswaza, omwana amanyi mu kuluzungu. Nana bajja kufuga abamwe mu dawo mubayigiriza musimanya local languages ngane sanga lya mboga ayogera oluzungu bulungi okusinga Oluganda. And I'm a Muganda, by the way. I'm a Konku Muganda. Nedda fumba akabiro kikere mu lubiri lwa Kabaka ndi muzukulu wa Walusimbi. Mu lubiri lwa Kabaka tuli basawo. Tanyiza old line. Naye, one thing I can tell is that we need to be practical. Omwana we abasobodde okutuuka ewantu asobola okuyiga oluzungu aluyiga abeere fluent nga akyali muto muteekeyo aluyiga Oluganda ajja luyiga bayagala batayagala. People come from Gulu and they don't know Luganda and they have to learn. My neighbor is a mixture of Mutoro and I think Lukbar. He's black. He's learning Luganda. He speaks his broken Luganda slowly by slowly, and he works with people that can't speak English, so he has to speak the Luganda. So Luganda is a must. Or when you go to Ankole, Lunyankole is a must. When you go to Gulu, that language, they have a lot of languages. They are Lukbara, they have Acholi. I don't know if those people are located in the same area. You get it? Those languages are a must. But English is the shape of the future. Nadala one way to say, it's the shape of the future. You need to have kids that can express themselves properly in English, and if they learn English when they are at a very small age, I teach you even advantages. Arthur, can you please recommend some good Indian bonds? I can't. A bond is a bond. Those guys are businessmen. You never stand by a businessman and think he's the best person to deal with. Via honesty, probably yes, but via giving you a good deal, no. I can tell you that personally. I see sticking up. Munabagamba nyina makanika ngaba na. Nyina makanika obwongo ng'ebintu ebikuwa bisana obwongo yabikola. Nyina makanika abazaako breaking nga ziweddeko. Nyina okitegeera. I have a mechanic for literally everything. So the same thing happens with bonds. You don't buy from one bond. When you're looking for a car, you go to a number of bonds, and then you find which bond is giving you a better deal, and then you buy from that one. So I wouldn't be able to recommend one bond, because in Zenange the Wemba Nyamako Muntu Gule Modoka Tetugenda Wam we talk to multiple people and then we see who's giving us a better deal, and that's how we get that's how we get good deals. Sometimes someone calls in Arthur, no, you don't go to one place to buy a car. So I drive Raum old model na yengo or tukubanyo. Raum old model we nakutawanya we see me. Raum old models are problematic. I drove one for 2 weeks in Tunda because I knew what a good car is. And Raum old model is not that one. And it's not just me. just look at the comments that are in those videos where I talk about our old models, and look at the comments that talk good about them. Probably you're the only one. Abantu abasinga, they have had problems with those rawums, or they are still having problems with the rawums, the old models. Ebintu byenjogerako by the way mbammaze okukola research ebiseera ebisinga okitegera, and local research. Omulaba omwana wa boda, omulaba avuga one way alinga ali mu lujjalwe. So ndokukakasa nti ebintu sitera bigambo lingiramu ne bwe mba ekintu nze nganze sikimanyi. I first ask around, I read a lot to make sure that I don't give you false information. Okitegeera. But I'm hustling to get directions in Paris in 2010 because everyone I talked to didn't speak English. I took about 15 people. Yeah, but my kids also speak French. They are also studying French in their class. So totally get that when someone learns English earlier on, they can learn other languages very fast. That's why most people that are linguistic are from the north, because people from the north are very fluent with English. North and West Nile, those guys are very good with English. And that was most translators in Uganda. They are not from the central or from the west or from the east. They come from West Nile or the north, because those guys have to learn English earlier on in their lives, because nobody comes to their region and they speak their language. So they have to learn a language that is middle there, which is English. And because they have very good English, they understand very good English very well, they are able to learn other languages faster than all of us from other regions. So, but my kids also learn French. Sometimes Aban tells me French words and I have no idea what they mean. Then I have to ask him, what does that one mean? I believe that our kids are going to grow up in a better world. They are going to find living easier, especially us, the parents, work hard for them. So that we give them the good education, good medical, and all that. So that we did not get. But it starts with your personal choices. Because najjajja ye bali kubaawo naye nga bamanje langa jjajja agenda kusomera na Uganda HM ne yegalira banzikiza okusoma taamu eno ngeza taamu ewedde sinnazimalayo kuba neza taamu eno mba sinnasasulako tuba tukyamalayo za taamu ewedde ebiri kitundu by the way wena village te bitwali tusasula wena maira P7 twali tusasula ena kitundu ndowooza ena kitundu. And that's not a long time ago. I did my P7 around 2002. I did my P7 in 2002. So banga sidde naye kasente tewali. And personally bondaba ngamba abaana babiri bammala nyina bye nayitamu bye nalaba nenda banga abaana balinga golf tuli maaso bwatandika okulya akulya ate no golf eyo bwe kulyo kitunda naye omwana ogenda muguzaani ogenda mukola child trafficking obeeko bw'omugabira. Have used sign language, definitely. I wandered into a wrong neighborhood. I am a Subaru guy. I have so far driven 3 Subarus and not intending to leave Subaru. I think Vianney, after reading a lot about Subaru, I think I agree with you. The only thing that I find that is not good with Subaru, and I have to drive the Subarus, that like the kind that you're driving right now, Vianney. But Subarus have found that Subarus that I've driven are not as comfortable as Toyotas. I think Subaru has to find a way, but the fact that they have joined with Toyota now, they are working. The Subarus that have sat in, they are not comfortable. They are not. Maybe these newer models, Zandibanga Zokat is really comfortable, but most of the Subarus that have sat in, my Corolla is much more comfortable than them, even at this old age that it is. My Corolla is much more comfortable than all those Subarus that I've seen. Katineta gantuleko muzine empia, those SUV types. I need to sit in them and I see whether they actually. I've sat in a 2008 Impreza. It wasn't impressive. Apart from in other Subarus, the durability, Subarus are very durable. That's no doubt. I've realized one of the reasons why people have problems with Subarus is simple. Subarus, first of all, they have the boxer engine that Vianney talks about most of the time. They have this boxer engine, and the boxer engine has 2 cylinder heads, right? The fact that the car has 2-cylinder heads makes it expensive to maintain. If you have, for example, have to replace a gasket, you have to replace, let's say, a timing chain or timing belt, it's expensive. And because it has 2-cylinder head, it means it has extra parts. My car has 1-cylinder head. It means if I'm to remove a cylinder head, it's cheaper for me to repair. It's not the same. Repairing a boxer engine is almost the same as repairing the V6 engine, because the V engine is shaped in a V, so it means it also has 2-cylinder heads. It's a little expensive. So if you're going to be buying a Subaru, just know it's going to be a little more expensive than maintaining a normal Toyota. Whatever you replace in pairs. But also the Subaru engines are shorter. Okay, you see this bottle here. Our engines are like this. What this engine gives you is that it balances the car. So flipping. This car that has the engine that is in like this, it can easily flip over in case you just go turn in chimama. But these cars that have these engines, and of course the boxer engine started with Mercedes Benz, the Carl Benz, Carl Benz, inventing that boxer engine, and probably that's why Mercedes Benz cars also don't just flip over like that. Anyway, the Subaru is definitely a very, very, very reliable car. It's easy to maintain if you have money. Like Vianney Mubede, but if you don't have money, leave the Subaru alone. Bro, we have car bonds where one can buy a car in installments, like paying Pola. All bonds have that, but they have to pay like 70 or 80%, and then they demand the 40 or 30%. By the way, as I talk about Toyota Chaser and the Mark are literally the same car. Which take it, the Chaser and Mark II, it's like Toyota was simply recycling their cars, putting this engine in another body, which take it, changing a few designs and there. The Chaser and the Mark II are the same car. Government or government in Europe. Yeah, mwana chigegeva zikeze kumigo. But most kids speak great English in school. Yeah, but not as great as the English of a omwana jatadwata nikidem ochtegera. But I think the thing of kids speaking English is also has to do with cross-cultural marriages. Like me, my one is from the West, I'm from the Central. In a way, I found that omwana no kasoka igolimi olusobolo okugata whatever, but then also olimi olumwa there is something that English gives kids. Kids that speak English fluently have a certain an air of confidence about them that the kids that don't speak. In the estate where I live, my neighbors' kids speak English. All my neighbors, by the way, the kids speak very fluent English, and I find that they have an air of confidence that the kids that don't speak English properly don't have. I don't know how that happens psychologically, but it happens. Vianney is saying Subaru garages and spares are now available, but the maintenance cost is still high. Definitely, I just the way the engine is made makes the maintenance expensive. But also I know that the guys that import Subaru spares are not as many as those that import Toyotas. After how is Toyota Scudo? Can you get me one in good condition? We can inspect one, though I don't recommend that you get an Scudo. What the newer models that are more the suspension is well made. The old models, the suspension is very fluid. Bugwanyo bwe Scudo obo. Nadala bwobanga toli mwegenza kati nze Scudo sigisobola because I'm not as careful, especially when I'm alone in the car. I need a car that is steady on the road, that when I shift to the left quickly, the car won't. There's a time I drove that Scudo, and my God, I almost dropped it at Tikali Kangi. My dad was a Musoga and my mom is a Mutoro, but I speak Luganda better than any other Ugandan language. Lutoro comes second. I understand, but don't speak Lusoga, unfortunately. I have a friend of mine who is a Musoga. The dad is a Musoga, the mom is a Muganda, and apparently he doesn't like the Lusoga culture. Yet we are creating a TV show where he is the only Musoga on the team, and he plays a character that is a Musoga. We are creating a TV show that is multilingual. We have all the cultures, literally all the cultures of Uganda in one place. And this TV show is kind of spelling unity. You know, we have in Uganda today, we have that hatred that is being brewed among its cultures. The Basoga kind of don't like certain cultures, the Baganda don't like, and in our TV show we are kind of trying to spell that away. That's the TV show we are developing. He's the only Musoga there, and he's playing a Musoga part, and at a certain point he said, Arthur, I hate my culture. And I'm thinking the Busoga culture, or the cultural leaders, are not doing enough to make sure that they make the Basoga love their culture with all the biases that are going around, you get. But our TV show will probably do something about it. And yeah, I get, I don't know why they didn't teach you Lusoga. It's unfortunate that your dad is a Musoga. My kids are going to learn Luganda. They may not learn their mother's language because they don't belong to their mother. But your mother overpowered your dad. Eh? So my kids are going to learn Luganda. They are going to even learn Kulanya. They'll even go and visit Buganda, the Buganda Palace. They'll even buy certificates in their names. You get? I want them to love their culture, but first of all, let them learn the language that made their dad. English made me. So Katitoina, me, I went and even won Buganda competitions in drama. And I won about 500,000 cents that I wakona koma certificate. Katinze Uganda and Umanyi nanya no kulanya ne competition bwe tugenda kuwandika bintu bya Luganda andika furu. When I'm writing Luganda scripts, but my kids will have to first learn English. To be vehicle. A friend of mine advised that the best time to do business with Muslims is during Ramadan. Hey, esawe yabata Allah okusinga other times. Yes, I spoke Lunubi, Achol, Lunyole, Lugishu, Swahili when growing up. Is it because you had multicultural friends? Arthur, so about Noah, which one is still would you recommend me affordable and maintainable? But just buy the first of that, one of those first generation Noahs. The newer models, so if you're a beginner, you need to buy a Noah that is fairly easy to maintain. Arthur, scholars say it's easier for people to learn other languages after learning their mother tongue well. No, it's not at least not in the central. Personally, I tried to learn Norwegian and I couldn't. I tried to learn French, I couldn't. If it was a name Vako. My kids speak some French words. I can't, even if I tried. In Buganda, I think Luganda gives us a certain kind of confidence because you can speak it everywhere. So those scholars, they were talking about Englishians. Bali bogera kubazungu. Because literally all the other languages are translated to English before they are translated to our languages. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So if a person is British and they want to learn French, it's easier for them to learn French. Why? Because, well, French is first translated to English before it's translated to any other language. So it's harder for a person that speaks Luganda first to learn French. Okuja konga French is the second language. But if I have to translate the French statement to English before I translate it to Luganda, then it's hard. That's why you find that most of those guys that learn languages first have to have English as a fluent. Look at all the guys that that learn other languages first. By nakubanga they are fluent in English first. Katsubira abana bo tebabenga ngamuwala wa bebekulu. Abana bange no Luganda balusoma. My kid is going to make 5 in June, but my kid is learning Luganda in school. You get basoma Luganda kusomero basoma Olufaransa. I did my S6 in 2002. Yeah, Arthur, I think kids can learn English from school and native language from home. That's one approach to take. My kids will learn Luganda from wherever they find it, because I've grown up with people that did not. My wife did not know Luganda. But she learned Luganda and she was fluent in a year. Good morning, Arthur. Please compare Toyota Probox to Succeed. Succeed is much more comfortable. The rest of the things are the same. The Succeed is much more comfortable. Sit in Subaru Forester XT and tell us about comfort. That's why I'm saying I have to sit in those newer models and see. The others are removing plugs on a Subaru is harder than inline English. Exactly, hence more definitely. Arthur, I ditched the Touareg and got a Formatic. So far so good. We'll say you thank you soon. Amina Daniel. The Benz is much more reliable. Paying 70% and remaining 30% in 4 months doesn't feel like installment payment to me. It feels like having 100%. That's what I think, JK. But apparently most Ugandans don't think like that. What was about you? I grew up with a single mom. Hey, that's it. Your dad was never there. So me, I'm in my kids' lives, and I'm going to make sure that they learn. I'm going to make sure they learn my language. But Arthur, do you realize that today you diverted from your planned topic to digital number plates and parenting? I thought it was Subaru Day. I'm Subaru hand in hand. Digital number plates as well. Someone asked a question. I'm going to try and limit question for Friday. Thank you, Vianney. After I see some Mactus label Turagi, Tuara. What's up with them? I'm going to answer that on Friday. Vianney has reminded me. Arabs in Denmark learn Danish faster than other people, yet Arabs don't speak any English when they come here. Arabs don't learn languages because of choice. Arabs learn languages because they have to survive. They have to survive. When most of those Arabs, when they come to Denmark, they are there. Taina chakula I know kubera wo. That's one thing. Even Somalis, even Somalis and Ethiopians, when they come to the Scandinavian, he has come either learn or like die. That's what they. But for us in Uganda, he and Uganda rangerumba. Kati nimi enda rangiga za chino luzungu rumpisa. What's the difference between the XT and the Forester? The XT is a newer model. Vianney jango nyambe kwa no byesimanyi. What's the difference between the XT and the Forester, Vianney? Come. Personally, I know that the XT is a much more advanced Forester. It's a bigger SUV, much more comfort and all. That's one thing I've seen. And I think the technology is also advanced. The engine is better, fuel efficiency is better. I also happen to read that the XT has a CVT. Also, the other thing that happens that is going to cost more people with Subarus is that the Subarus that are most on the road right now is Zilike Nyinji, Zina CVT gearbox. Okay? And if those cars have CVT gearbox, you can't drive them the way you used to. You drove your normal automatic cars or your normal manual cars, which means that if you, because the CVT, you can't just vroom, and you can't just accelerate at once. The CVT has a kind of progressive way that is recommended to be driven. And most of the Subarus that we have now, the 2008, 2009, 2010 models that people are driving, have those CVT gearboxes, which you're supposed to drive progressively. I also found when I researched, when, for example, Subaru was introducing the Subaru to the US, their core target market was the lesbians. Which, take it, I was not going to say this, but well, it has come out. Their core target was, they had like 5 categories of people. They were targeting doctors, they were targeting teachers, they were targeting outdoor people, and then the lesbians. I don't know which other category it was. And the way they were advertising these Subarus, mostly the SUV types, the Foresters. The Forester is, I think the Forester is the biggest, best-selling cars. Of course, they had these Outbacks. The Outbacks are very good. But then they developed the Forester. The Forester is like the biggest seller everywhere. And the way they marketed the Subarus have all-wheel drive. What's the difference between all-wheel drive? Let me come to that. So what they did is they were marketing this SUV as family vehicles, first of all. But then they were marketing these cars to different classes of people for different things. For the outdoor people, they were marketing these cars because these cars, the Subarus, all Subarus are all-wheel drive, okay? So they were saying if you're going to be outdoor and there's snow, so you need a car that can maneuver all these roads and all these conditions. That's where the all-wheel drive system comes in. And then to the doctors, they were saying you're going to get a car that has all-wheel drive and is comfortable and it can get you to the hospital regardless of the weather conditions. Of course, I've seen that the weathers can get very bad at times, that even the all-wheel drive car cannot help you. It also gets slippery, never kubara. But the all-wheel drive car is definitely better. So, and then for the lesbians, you know, apparently lesbians are kind of manly, and they have that manly thing that they want to be. They want to explore the masculinity in them. So they want to be outdoor most of the times. They want to be fixing cars themselves. And that's how they were marketing the Subarus to the lesbians. Now it's definitely different in Uganda. Nobody markets these cars to us. Why? Because we are driving used cars. But for the markets in the US, in Canada, and all that, they market these cars to different segments of the market. I've seen a dad that loves his daughters. He's helping a daughter put on her shoes. It's magical when you see a dad that takes care of his daughters, but also he's a very old man, about 65 years, but his daughter is about 12 years. So he had his daughter when about his 50s, I think. Wasn't a very wise decision though. So everyone, so the biggest selling point for Subarus is, first of all, the all-wheel drive system. That's why they are very popular worldwide, because in Uganda, like I said in the beginning, you don't really need an all-wheel drive car. But all-wheel drive has its own advantages. All-wheel drive has its own advantages. I'm going to get to that shortly. But the reason why the Subarus, especially the Foresters, are selling so much is because you have an SUV that is not really an SUV. It's not too high like a RAV4. It's not too high like a TX. But it's an SUV. It's low. It will not trip over when you drive poorly. But then it also has the comfort that comes with your Boxer engine, Vianney. Apparently, the Boxer engine eliminates some of the vibration. Also, the Boxer engine, because the pistons go like this, which here they are pushing, and they are pushing power this way and this way, which gives the car a kind of balance. Nti we are about dead no nga piston ya kubezeno. We are about dead something like that. And to most people, to most countries, the Subaru doesn't consume a lot of fuel. Here in Uganda, compared to the cars that are on the road, the Subaru consumes a lot of fuel. So that's a very big difference that we cannot ignore. But Subarus are generally reliable worldwide. Especially with the newer Subaru, is the technology that whenever that car has a fault, you have to get a computer guy to diagnose it. So which is why if you're buying a new Subaru, probably buy a diagnostic machine as well. OBD, you can diagnose it yourself. You just put it there and find the issue, and then because some of these issues can be solved. Issues are Subaru. There is a time I found a Subaru in the garage. It was there for 4 days. It's because the electrical guy could not find the fault, even when he had a computer. It was a newer Subaru. At that time it was UBK. The UBKs had just come. Kubanga bwe mvuge yange nejivuge miezi mukage nenkadde nga sikanise okitegere kati erimba nyinavuga myaka ngebiri sigenze mu garage, which is impossible definitely okitegere. But the biggest selling point has been the all-wheel drive in those countries, and that's why the Subarus are a lot, because so many people in those countries bought Subarus because of their weather and their road condition, because of the slippery thing. Let me try to explain for the all-wheel drive. Let me first read these comments here. So Vianney said he drives the XT and it's really comfortable. And then JK said there is a Forester Cross Sport and Forester XT. They are built differently. I think the Cross Sport goes together with the X20. The X20 came before the Cross Sport, and then the XT came later. Subarus have all-wheel drive. What's the difference? Oh, I'm coming to that. The XT is an SUV like the RAV4, but it doesn't reach to the height of the RAV4, I think. And that's also one of the selling points. It's an SUV that is not too high. Yeah, Forester and Outback are known as lesbian cars in many countries. Yeah, the Outback looks nice. I drive the Subaru XT and it's comfortable. Subarus even pushed them early on to the lesbian community using adverts and targeting them. Yeah, definitely. Outback is underrated. Outback doesn't even have resale value here. But why is it a special thing when dad pays attention to his child? It should be a given. There is something about that. That's one thing I missed in my life. That's one thing I missed, having a dad. Even if your dad is not as cool, if your dad is available, there's something that happens. Stray bullets, it was not wise to have a child at about 6. It wasn't. Forester XT, even your kids now won't go back to because your sperms are not strong. Forester XT is the first generation of the Subaru and was manufactured in 2012. However, XT in third generation is for only the turbocharged versions. Yeah, I saw that somewhere. My dad is a Mogishu and mom is a Munyoro, but I learned both of them and learned English too. Cut, both your dad and mom were present in your life. One day, host Subaru owners, I'm going to ask, Vianney is going to come to my podcast when I start. He's definitely going to come because Vianney and I have so many divergent issues. So when I finally have my studio up and running, Vianney will be one of those first people I have to host. Subaru ye in Singapore and comfortable. And the studio is going to be here in the center of town at my office. Why don't other car owners have that spirit? And Subaru owners worldwide, I think it's a worldwide thing, made the other all Subarus of 2008 and below are automatic, not CVT. They're automatic. Subaru starts in the CVT starts in 2009. Then definitely then this one, because I thought the Impreza I sat in was the 2008, and I thought it lacked power. So when I read that they have CVTs as well, I thought it was not powerful because of the CVT gearbox. But now I realize that the Subaru Impreza is just weak. Sorry, Vianney. The Subaru Impreza is weak. My Corolla is stronger. So I'm going to host Vianney in those podcasts and probably host other Subaru lovers because they have a community. So probably when I call Vianney, he can come with like 4 other Subaru guys, and then they roast me in the studio. But the CVT version requires room for improvement. I think CVT for all people. For all people. Subaru has been known to have the best all-wheel drive system worldwide. They have the best all-wheel drive. So, and those reviews influence the cars that we also get, because if all-wheel drive globally, Subaru is better, then the people that buy all-wheel drive cars globally will buy Subaru, which means that we'll get more used Subarus into the car. The alignment of a Subaru, the Boxer engine is in a way that it has lower center of gravity and hence more stable because it's lower in the engine bay. Yeah. But even the gearbox is behind the engine, right? It's not under the engine. Since the gearbox is behind the engine, then chitegeza okuyuga kuba kutono, it adds the weight under the car. Vianney might come with Katwalo podcast. Nze sifuddeyo bajje bonna nange wendi nangaletayo ba Toyota adai hadi bange, and then studio kwato omuliro kitegeera. So anyway, to explain the difference between all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, the four-wheel drive system first of all came with SUVs and pickups, right? And you engage the four-wheel drive manually most of the time. Either you have a button or you have a gear that helps you engage the four-wheel drive. However, the all-wheel drive is full-time. And how it works is that it doesn't, you see, the four-wheel drive either has rear tires all the time, and then when you engage four-wheel drive, the front tires are engaged. However, what happens is that with all-wheel drive, it's full-time. Emipira jona jitambula at the same time. However, the system realizes that the left tire in front needs more power. It takes the power away from all these 3 tires and gives more power to one of the tire that needs more power. Or if it realizes that the rear tires need more power, it takes some power from the front tires and gives it to the rear tires. So it's automatic in a way. But you know, the more automatic it is, the more management or the more maintenance cost it will take for you. Chitegeza, you have to make sure that all these things are intact. Maintenance again kuba high. Telling automatic gearbox where take up hydraulic gearbox yange and I go. Over four-wheel drive. So the system is kind of complex, so you need to also be careful. I tell all-wheel drive system ya feno. Abasubaru abasinga nembyalo tebateranga genda yo because abavubuka abasinga bavuganga Subaru nga mchara genda yo munudu kumwezi. So chances is emoroke yo kwononeke nnyo. Of course, this will be subject to what Vianney will tell us in the podcast. But I find that some of these cars the tugamanti zabavuka tete zifafa abavuka babera nnyo mu kibuga tebatera genda mbyalo. Era abavuka bagenda genda mbyalo bavuga Toyota mukama abasasire nze ndabanga kimaze olwaleero kangezeko kutetenkanya. There is someone I'm supposed to help find a car today. I hope he comes and then we go look for a car. This one I'll definitely share pictures when we get one. I wish you a very lovely day, guys. I hope we have covered some, I know not all, but we have covered some of the things that we were supposed to cover today. May God be with you. Ciao. I've noted the names. This is something I forget. Mr.